Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is net worth. Specifically, the average net worth by age for each decade. Now, just to get things started off, net worth can be defined very simply. It's simply your total assets, so your investments, your house, your cars, etc., minus your liabilities, which are your debts. So if you have a mortgage, or if you have a car loan, or if you have any other types of loans, you would take the total value of your assets, subtract the total amount of your debts, and that would give you your net worth. Now, net worth is typically the best way to measure someone's financial success in life. When we break it down, ultimately the goal is to build up as many assets as we can, keep our debts and liabilities as small as possible, so that we can live off the value that we've created forever. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when people use income as a metric to assess financial success or financial stability. But income really doesn't tell us anything about one's financial assets. But it's better to look at things holistically, assess what assets an individual owns, compare that to their debts, and come up with an assessment of what their net worth is. In this video, I will break down the average net worth by age, give some insight and commentary on why the average is what it is, and give you tips on how you can be above average and grow your financial wealth. But before we jump into that, let's jump into the difference between the average or the mean and the median. And we're gonna rewind back a few years and we're gonna put you back in stats class and go over the difference between the mean and the median. With each of these net worths, you are gonna see that the mean or the average is way higher than the median. And that is because people in each age group who have high net worths end up skewing the data. And if you remember from stats, the median is less impacted by outliers, which is why it's lower. So if you look at the average and get discouraged, remember that it's actually the median that shows where people are who are right in the middle. Oh, and also, before I forget, hit that like button, and if you like this video and enjoy this type of content, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. And the first group are those in their 20s, and let's jump right into the numbers. The average net worth for someone in their 20s is $84,926. Now, the median net worth for the same age group is $6,999. You see that big difference there, right? Now let's dive into this a little deeper because I'm assuming that most of you that are watching this video fall into this age bracket. And again, reality for most people in their 20s is going to be much closer to the median of $7,000 than the average of over $80,000. Most people in their 20s are just graduating from college, starting their careers, and figuring out what they want to do with their life. And that is okay, and that is great. So don't get discouraged by that average number, especially if you're in your early 20s. This age is about finding yourself and setting yourself up so that you can accomplish your goals. In this decade, I'm more worried about you setting good financial habits and doing the necessary groundwork that will allow your net worth to skyrocket later on in life. And in my opinion, there are 3 key steps you should do in your 20s to set yourself up well financially. And number 1 is find your craft and master it. Hopefully you were able to do this in college, but it's okay if you didn't. Start working different jobs, start exploring different businesses and industries, and really find what you love doing and become really good at it. Get any of the education and training you need to do that job, and then go for it. If it's something you love, you will be great at it, and it's gonna be the most lucrative field for you. But make sure you're also finding a balance between something you love and something that makes sense financially. And if you want any future content that goes over career advice and finding your calling, make sure you subscribe to this channel for future content just like that. But I think establishing your career, finding your calling, and pursuing it is the most important thing you can do in your 20s. Now, step 2 in your 20s, get out of bad high interest debt. If you have high interest debt like car loans, student loans, or credit cards, get out of that immediately. It's time to pay them off and get them out of your life, and your future self will love you for it. Generally, I would pay off anything that is above a 4 to 5% interest rate. And if you have a mortgage or student loans that are less than 4 or 5%, it may make sense to not pay those off yet and invest the money you would put towards those instead. Which brings us to step number 3 for things you should do in your 20s, which is start investing in your retirement. You are in your best years for compound interest and growing wealth. This chart is showing you what would happen if you invested $1 until age 65, starting at various ages. If you invested that dollar at age 20, it would eventually be worth about $72. If you wait just 5 years, the value of that dollar drops to about $44 at age 65. Every dollar you invest at age 35 will turn into $17, and you can read the rest of the chart. But you can see that those numbers are exponentially getting smaller, which is why you need to start investing now. As far as investing, look into options like your company's 401k and definitely take advantage of that if they offer any sort of company match. And if you're looking for other investment accounts, look into accounts like the Roth IRA and the HSA. And if you want more information on retirement investing, make sure you check out my video that compares the Roth IRA to the 401k And also check out my video that goes over HSAs. I'll link them both here. And as a general rule of thumb, you should be contributing a minimum of 15% to retirement, but ideally you'd be contributing 25%, especially in these early compounding years. If you follow those 3 steps in your 20s, you will see your net worth skyrocket later on in life. Which brings us to our 30s. The average net worth for someone in their 30s is about $260,000, while the median net worth is just about $38,000. And now, I'm not going to be quite as nice on this one. When you're in your 30s, you should be closer to the average of $260,000 than the median. And again, this depends if you're in your early 30s or later 30s, but just in general, hopefully you did the work in your 20s and now you're starting to see your investments grow and you're starting to see that hard work pay off. If you didn't do that, that's okay too, but you need to make sure you start right now so that you can still take advantage of the compounding time that you have left. Another thing that most people do in their 30s is purchase their first home, and as their equity grows in that home, that increases their net worth as well. And this age is a great checkpoint. If you're behind on your investing, get going. You still have plenty of time. And if you're doing well, keep it up, but do not slow down. You still have a long ways to go. But in summary, hopefully in your 30s, you'll start to see your hard work and your investing start to pay off. And that brings us to our 40s. The average net worth for people in their 40s is just about $693,000, while the median net worth is just about $140,000. And again, the median here just is not going to cut it. Retirement at this point is likely only 20 years away, and that's not enough time for that $140,000 to compound enough. So you should be targeting the average, but ideally you'd actually be targeting for higher. If you get started with those 3 steps that I mentioned in your 20s, you should be a net worth millionaire at this stage. Let's say that back at age 25, you had gotten out of debt and you had invested 15% of your income. And on top of that, your company also matched 5% of that. Well, if you were making $50,000 a year, you would have just about $920,000 by the end of your 40s. And that's assuming no salary increases or anything. So a conservative estimate. And if you own a home, the equity in your home will likely raise your net worth up above that $1 million mark. I think being a millionaire in your 40s is a great goal to strive for, and that will give you some peace of mind to let you know that you're on the right track financially. And again, if you're a little behind on retirement, that's still okay. You could still catch up, but you need to get hustling and investing right now. It's going to take more dedicated effort and more investing than it would normally, but that's okay, and you can still do it. And now let's go to the 50s, and for the first time, the average net worth has crossed $1 million, with the average net worth for people in their 50s being $1,250,000, while the median net worth for people in their 50s is about $312,000. This is the final stretch. When you hit age 50, you need to take a long, hard look at your financial picture, where you want to be, where you need to be, and where you actually are. If there is a big gap, you need to get going fast. First of all, use the 25X rule to establish where you currently are. The 25X rule essentially has how much you would want or need to live off in retirement every year. Let's say you wanted to live off $50,000 every year in retirement. You would need to take that number and you would need to multiply it by 25. So to have a retirement income of $50,000, you need to have a total investment portfolio of $1,250,000. So when you do that calculation, if you're short on your investments, then you know that you need to catch some of that up in your 50s. If you're past it, then that's great, but keep going and invest as much as you can. And the 25X rule is based off of the 4% rule, which essentially says that you can withdraw 4% of your investment portfolio year over year and theoretically never run out of money ever. And like I said, if you're not where you want to be yet or you're not on track, there's still time, but you've got to go right now and you've got to hustle and grind like nobody else. The good news is that once you hit age 50, the IRS actually increases the contribution limit on multiple retirement accounts like the 401k and the Roth IRA. So look into those and see if you can actually increase your contributions now that you're in your 50s. Even if you're on track, you should still do that anyway, just so you can invest as much as possible. And that brings us to the last group that we're going to talk about, the retirees, those who are in their 60s. Now, the average net worth for someone in their 60s is just about $1.6 million. Well, the median is just about $490,000. And this might shock you, but if I'm being honest, these numbers really scare me. Remember that the average is high because it is being skewed by individuals with high net worths. But the person right in the middle at the median is sitting at a net worth of just about $490,000. And I know that number sounds big and it seems like a lot, but it's just not enough to retire on. Let's round that number up to $500,000. And let's say that it's all investments, so none of it is equity in someone's house, which is actually unlikely because home equity usually makes up the majority of someone's net worth. But let's say someone had $500,000 saved up in investments. If they withdrew 4% of that every year, that would give them a retirement income of $20,000 per year, which would be tough to live off of for most Americans. And it's better than nothing, but we need to be doing more. And it's absolutely frightening to think that half of people have even less than that. It's time for you to take your finances seriously while you are young, build your career, get out of debt, start investing, and do it on a regular basis, every paycheck or every month. And guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. If you want more personal finance content just like this, make sure you like the video for the YouTube algorithm and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.